It was a warm Friday evening when I walked into our apartment, arms full of groceries and heart full of plans. I was humming lightly to myself, thinking about the dinner I was about to cook, his favorite grilled lemon herb chicken and mashed potatoes. It was our 4th anniversary weekend, and although we'd planned something simple, I had spent days preparing little surprises. A scrapbook of our memories, tickets to the concert he loved, and even a late-night reservation at a rooftop restaurant in the city. My name is Elena Hayes, and at the time I believed I had it all. A stable job as a marketing analyst, a charming fiancé, a cozy 2-bedroom apartment, and a sister I could call my best friend. But life, as I would learn soon enough, has a way of gutting you before you even realize you're bleeding. As I walked in, I noticed something off. A pair of heels were tossed haphazardly near the couch. Not mine. And the scent in the air wasn't the lavender candle I always lit, it was something stronger. Muskier. Someone else's perfume. I froze. My gut tightened and I placed the grocery bags down slowly. My fingers felt cold despite the warmth in the room. I walked toward the bedroom, heart thudding, every step heavier than the last. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. I heard a giggle. A woman's voice. And then his. "Liam," she whispered, her voice unmistakable. That was the moment my life split in two. Because that voice belonged to my sister, Madison. I didn't burst in. Instead, I turned around and walked back to the kitchen. Slowly. Mechanically. I stared at the wine bottle I had bought for our dinner. I picked it up, placed it back down, and then walked out of the apartment. Not a single word spoken. Not a single tear shed. I drove for hours that night, circling the city aimlessly, gripping the wheel so tightly I thought my hands would snap. My phone buzzed with missed calls and messages, none from Liam or Madison. Just my friends checking in. Bernie. By the time I returned home, it was almost midnight. I parked in the lot and sat still for several minutes. Something inside me had cracked open and through it poured silence. A frightening, calculated silence. They were gone by the time I entered. Sheets wrinkled. Wine glasses on the nightstand. Madison's perfume still thick in the air. I slept in the guest room that night. And in the morning I didn't confront him. I didn't confront her. Instead, I started building my wall, one cold, quiet brick at a time. Madison had always been the pretty one. The one who got away with things. The one who knew how to weaponize her charm without ever getting dirty. I was the older one, the stable, logical one. The one who cleaned up her messes. It wasn't the first time she'd crossed the line, but it was the first time she'd taken something that was mine. Or rather, someone. And this time she'd done it with a smirk behind my back. Liam didn't act like anything had happened. He carried on like he was still my loving fiancé, good morning kisses, quick check-ins during lunch, shared takeout dinners. But something was different now. I could see it, feel it, and perhaps more chillingly I allowed it. I studied him, observed, took mental notes. He had no idea I knew. That was the beginning of my quiet war. I began pulling away in the smallest ways. I stopped asking about his day. I stopped wearing the necklace he gave me. I stopped reaching for his hand when we crossed the street. And still he didn't notice. Or maybe he didn't care. At work, I poured myself into my projects. My boss, a no-nonsense woman named Julia, noticed the shift. "You're sharper than usual," she remarked during one of our one-on-ones. "Focused. Like you're hunting something." I smiled. Maybe I am. It was during that time I met Vincent. Vincent Sterling, the billionaire CEO of the firm that had just acquired the boutique agency I worked for. He was the kind of man who walked into a room and made it shift. Not because he was loud or arrogant, but because he had the kind of confidence that didn't need to be proven. He noticed me during a quarterly strategy meeting. I wasn't even presenting, but he approached me after. "You didn't say much," he said. "But your ideas were all over that presentation." "I can tell." I blinked. That obvious? Only to someone who's used to reading the room. He was magnetic. Polished. But not in a plastic performative way like Liam had always been. Vincent's charm came from restraint. From observation. From silence used as a tool, not a cover. Over the next few weeks I kept bumping into him. Once at the elevator. Once during lunch. Once in the hallway when he offered to walk me to my car after hours. He never made a move. He didn't have to. There was a pull between us neither of us acknowledged. Yet, But I wasn't ready. Not yet. My war wasn't over. 2 months after I caught Liam and Madison, she invited me to brunch. Like nothing had happened. "I miss you," she chirped as she sipped her mimosa. "We haven't talked in forever." "Busy with work," I replied, cool and even. "Liam told me you've been pulling long hours. Everything okay between you two?" That was the moment I realized she thought I still didn't know. She was playing dumb. Acting innocent. That stung more than the affair itself. It wasn't just betrayal. It was mockery. I looked her in the eyes and gave her the sweetest smile I could muster. "Everything's perfect," I said. "We're actually talking about setting a date soon." She blinked, faltering for a second. "Really?" "Yeah, eat. Thinking fall wedding. Small, intimate. Only family." Her smile stiffened. And that was the moment I knew I had her right where I wanted her. That same evening, Vincent invited me to a private dinner. Strictly professional, he said, but the location said otherwise. A rooftop garden restaurant with dim lighting, candlelit tables, and a panoramic view of the skyline. He opened doors. Pulled out my chair. Listen. I had never felt so seen. At the end of the evening, he said, "You carry yourself like someone who's walked through fire. But you don't look burned." I stared at him, unsure of how to respond. "Whatever happened," he said, "you're not done yet. Are you?" "No," I whispered. "Not yet." He nodded as if that was all he needed to hear. Liam noticed it first in small moments, missed kisses in the morning, dinners that felt more like awkward interviews, nights where I turned to the edge of the bed and kept my back to him. I saw it in his eyes, the confusion, the flicker of insecurity, but he didn't dare ask. Maybe because deep down he knew. Or maybe because men like him only notice loss once it slipped too far from their grip. And I wasn't just slipping away. I was already gone. 2 weeks after my rooftop dinner with Vincent, I received an unexpected envelope at work. It was sleek black, sealed with a minimalist gold S, the Sterling Industries logo. Inside was a formal invitation to their annual private gala, one of the most exclusive business and social events in the city. I'd only ever heard whispers about it, where billionaires and CEOs mingled with the elite, and deals were made between sips of vintage wine. I turned the card over. "You've earned your place. Don't waste it, Vis." I couldn't help the smirk curling on my lips. Liam wouldn't be getting an invite. Madison wouldn't even make it past the velvet ropes. I, on the other hand, was going to walk in dressed in power, and I already knew the man beside me would be Vincent Sterling. On the surface, Madison had returned to being the doting little sister. She called often, sent memes, even dropped by the apartment once with a batch of cookies she claimed she'd baked just for me. I accepted them with a sweet smile and tossed them in the trash the moment she left. But beneath it all, she was getting restless. Because Liam had started pulling away from her. I knew he had been using her for fun and excitement, but never planned to leave me. And now that I wasn't reacting, wasn't begging, wasn't accusing, he was confused. And when he got confused, he returned to what was comfortable. He started treating me better. Flowers. Little notes. He even offered to cook dinner one night, badly of course. I watched him try to salvage burnt pasta and act like it was a romantic gesture. I watched him grovel without knowing he was groveling. I said thank you. I kissed him once on the cheek. And then I slept in the guest room. Madison, on the other hand, grew colder. Her texts became short. Her jokes carried thorns. "Liam said you're working late a lot. Hope you're not turning into a boring old office hag," she messaged one night. I replied with a photo of my heels and cocktail dress from Vincent's dinner party earlier that evening, followed by a simple, "Never boring. Just upgraded." She didn't reply. The night of the Sterling Gala was a movie scene. Vincent sent a car. Not a standard black town car, an obsidian Rolls-Royce, gleaming like oil in moonlight. The driver opened the door and there he was inside, waiting, perfectly pressed in a midnight blue tux. He stood when I entered, eyes sweeping over my emerald silk gown. "You look dangerous," he said. I planned to be. When we walked into the gala, the crowd parted. People turned to look not at him but at me. I could feel it, taste it. For the first time, I wasn't just the girl behind the presentation. I wasn't someone's sister or someone's girlfriend. I was Elena Hayes, future power, cloaked in elegance. Throughout the evening, Vincent introduced me to people I'd only read about in business journals. Each time, his hand lingered slightly at the small of my back, protective but respectful. Each time he introduced me, his words were deliberate. This is Elena. She's more brilliant than half the boardroom. Elena's strategy helped triple Q4 leads. I trust her instincts. Elena will be someone to watch. People listened. Because Vincent didn't say things lightly. By the time dessert was served, several women from rival firms were eyeing me like I was both competition and curiosity. And Liam? He was at home, probably watching sports and wondering why I hadn't texted. Good. The moment happened after midnight. Most of the crowd had thinned. A jazz trio played in the corner. The city skyline glittered like scattered diamonds. Vincent turned to me as we stood at the balcony edge. Why haven't you told me what happened? He asked quietly. I stared at the skyline. What makes you think something happened? Because every woman who walks into a room the way you do is either running from something or walking toward the fire. And you think I'm walking toward the fire? No, he said. You are the fire. I looked at him. The wind played with a strand of my hair. He gently tucked it behind my ear. You don't owe me an explanation, he added. But if you ever need help lighting a few matches, I have gasoline. I almost laughed, but what I did instead was more dangerous. I leaned in slightly and said, I'll let you know when I'm ready. The next morning my phone exploded with messages. From Madison, did you seriously go to the Sterling Gala? With Vincent? I saw your picture on someone's story. What the hell is going on, Elena? You never told me you knew him. You look like a damn movie star. Everyone at my work is talking about it. I didn't reply. I waited. That same afternoon, Liam came home early with coffee and pastries. He placed them on the table like a peace offering. So, about last night, he said, watching me closely. I lifted an eyebrow. I saw your picture with Vincent Sterling. Wow. That's the CEO of your new firm, right? He owns the firm. Not just the CEO, I corrected. He chuckled nervously. Right. A flicker of worry crossed his eyes. He tried to laugh it off. Well, you look amazing. Seriously. Thanks. I stood and walked to the bedroom, leaving the pastries untouched. The walls around him were starting to close in. But I wanted them tighter. Suffocating. Desperate. A week later, I received a call from HR. Vincent had recommended me for a new internal division, a think tank designed to work on elite client strategies. Very hush-hush. Very selective. And I'd be working directly under him. I pretended to hesitate. Won't people talk? They already are, he said on the other end. So why not make it worthwhile? I accepted. Madison, upon hearing the news from someone else, messaged me with a barrage of passive-aggressive questions. You and your CEO, huh? Must be nice to sleep your way to the top. I stared at that message for a long time. Then replied, funny coming from someone like you. She didn't reply to that. Good. She was spiraling. And I was only getting started. Liam began acting like the man I once thought I loved. He cooked. He cleaned. He massaged my feet after work. He even picked up a new book and sat beside me reading it, pretending we were the old couple we used to be. But love doesn't return when it's poisoned. Rots. And I had long stopped trying to save it. But I wanted him to believe it could come back. I needed him to think he had a chance. So one evening I let him kiss me. Another I let him hold me while we watched a movie. One night I wore the sapphire dress he used to love and told him he looked handsome. His eyes lit up like I had just handed him a lifeline. Do you think we're okay? He asked one night, voice trembling. I smiled. We're getting there. Liam wasn't stupid. Arrogant? Yes. Entitled? Absolutely. But not stupid. And the more I played the sweet, forgiving fiancé, the more he clung to the hope that I had no idea. That the guilt he buried under charm and distraction could stay locked away if he just loved me harder. He didn't know he was dancing in a burning room. And I wasn't going to put out the flames. I was only waiting for the moment he realized they were all around him, and I'd be walking away untouched. It happened on a Friday evening. I'd just gotten home from a client dinner with Vincent. Nothing romantic, at least not overtly, but the tension between us buzzed like static electricity. He'd driven me back himself, his hand brushing mine on the center console more than once, lingering just long enough to send sparks through my bloodstream. I walked into the apartment with a tired but content smile, only to be greeted by rose petals on the floor. Candles lit. Soft jazz playing in the background. I stopped cold at the doorway. "Liam," I called out. He stepped out from the kitchen in a crisp navy blazer, holding a single white rose. His expression was sheepish, boyish even, desperation coated in performance. "What's all this?" I asked, masking my disinterest with curious charm. He stepped closer. "I know we've been distant, but I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. And I don't want to lose you." "You already did," I thought. But I smiled softly. He reached into his pocket and my stomach turned with the audacity. A velvet box. Oh, not this. I wasn't ready for this play yet. He dropped to one knee, holding out the ring I already wore, a reproposal, his second attempt at claiming something he thought he was rebuilding. "Elena Hayes," he said, voice shaky. "Will you marry me?" I stared at him, the ring, the effort. And the pure, disgusting irony of it all. A man who had slept with my sister proposing to me like his sins could be rewritten with flowers and a speech. I let silence hang for a beat too long, enough for his hands to tremble. Then I whispered, yes. Because he needed to believe I was still his. Because he needed to keep building his fragile fantasy. So when I shattered it, it would hurt. More than he ever imagined. 2 days later, Madison showed up at my apartment. Uninvited. Unhinged. "You're engaged to Liam again?" she snapped. I blinked slowly. "Good to see you too." She stormed inside, ignoring my polite resistance. "Why didn't you tell me Liam proposed for marriage?" I tilted my head. "Why would I?" "Because I'm your sister." I gave a soft laugh. "That hasn't stopped you from hiding things from me before." Her mouth parted in mock surprise. "What is that supposed to mean?" "Oh, come off it, Madison," I said coolly. "You think I didn't know?" Her eyes flickered. "Know what?" "That you've been screwing Liam behind my back. I heard you. I saw the heels. Your perfume. I've known for months." Madison stepped back, color draining from her face. "Elena, it's not what you think." "Save it," I interrupted, walking past her. "I'm not mad. Impressed. You kept up the performance for so long. That takes effort." She watched me in silence, confused by my composure. That was the thing about Madison, she expected tears, screaming, a scene. Not silence. Not this calm rage dressed in pearls. "You're really going to marry him?" she asked after a long pause. I turned and smiled coldly. "Oh yes. In fact, I'd love for you to be there." Her eyes widened. "You're insane." "No," I whispered. "I'm just getting started." A week later, during a late-night strategy session in his penthouse office, Vincent poured me a glass of wine and said the words that would shift everything. "I want you to come with me to Milan." I looked up from the presentation I was revising. "Milan. We're launching a luxury brand integration there. High profile. Elite. I want you leading the campaign on site. 2 months. Maybe 3. I set my pen down slowly. "Why me?" He studied me for a long moment. "Because you're not afraid to break rules." "That's not exactly HR friendly," I teased. "I don't care about HR," he said. "I care about results. I care about loyalty. I care about working with people who understand power." I sipped the wine. "You know this will raise eyebrows." "Good," he said. "Let them stare." He leaned closer. "You're not like them, Elena. You know how to walk into a room and make it yours. Don't waste your time with men who need convincing. Be with someone who already sees it." There was something in the way he looked at me, serious, predatory, respectful. A strange balance of danger and admiration. He didn't touch me. He didn't need to. His words did the damage. I accepted the Milan offer. Liam panicked. "But what about the wedding?" he asked one night after dinner. "We haven't even set a date," I replied casually, folding laundry like it was just another Thursday. "But we were supposed to start looking at venues. I'll be back in a few months. It's a work opportunity. You said you supported my career." He stared at me helpless. I smiled. And Madison? She messaged me in all caps. What is this about you moving to Milan with your C? Are you insane? I replied, the view's better in Milan. So are the men. She didn't respond. But I knew what she was thinking. That I had won. And I had. She tried to take the man I loved. So I made the man she envied fall for me. Before I left for Milan, Liam surprised me with a weekend getaway at a vineyard. A last-ditch effort to bond, to reignite something that no longer existed. I agreed to go not for him but to watch him unravel. That weekend was like watching a ghost grasp at the living. He held my hand too tightly. He spoke about our future like it was carved in stone. He cried actual tears when I told him I wouldn't be calling much from Milan. Elena, I know I messed up, he whispered one night in bed, clinging to me. I wasn't thinking straight. I didn't mean to hurt you. I looked at him, feigned confusion, and whispered, what are you talking about? He paused. What? You said you hurt me. What did you do? His breath hitched. I meant. I wasn't there enough. For you. Emotionally. I murmured. You've always been a little distant. He stared at me, waiting, hoping, dreading. I kissed his cheek and turned away. He didn't sleep that night. Good. Guilt is a beautiful poison. Milan looked like a dream I didn't know I had. Cobblestone streets lined with boutiques and marble fountains. Old-world charm wrapped in unapologetic luxury. But I wasn't here to soak in the sights. I was here to become someone they couldn't destroy. While Liam was still trying to fix a future I'd already set on fire, and Madison circled like a jealous vulture, I was stepping into the next phase of my life, one tailored in silk and strategy, stitched together by the billionaire man they both underestimated. Vincent's Milan office wasn't just an office. It was a fortress of ambition. Glass walls, polished floors, and staff who moved like they were on invisible wires, effortlessly efficient, all eyes trained on results. Vincent introduced me as the global strategist for innovation and integration. A title so deliberately crafted it made everyone curious and just slightly envious. And I knew what they were thinking. Who is she? How did she get here? The answer, because I bled, broke, and buried my past to rise. In my first week I led 3 key meetings. Landed a partnership with a luxury skincare brand. And when Vincent took me out for a press dinner with the European CEO of Sterling's biggest competitor, he introduced me not just as an employee but as his Elena. Subtle. Elegant. Loaded. The message was clear. I wasn't just here to work. I was here to ascend. Madison wasn't taking my silence well. She sent 2 emails, all laced with concern disguised as passive rage. Are you really sleeping with your boss now? Is this who you are? Do you even care what this looks like? People are talking. I left them unread. Let her scream into the void. The more I ignored her, the louder she became. And that's when she did the one thing I was waiting for. She messaged Vincent. From her business email. Hi Vincent, I'm Madison Hayes, Elena's younger sister. I'm currently working in branding and strategy at Valkyr Communications. Would love to connect and discuss potential synergies if you're open to a chat. Madison, it was a pathetic, transparent attempt to get in his orbit. He forwarded the message to me with a single line. Do you want me to respond or destroy her? I replied, neither. Let her believe she has a chance. It'll make the fall more satisfying. 3 weeks into Milan, Vincent invited me to his private villa overlooking Lake Como. It was the kind of place you see in films, sun-kissed balconies, curved stone architecture, the lake glowing in the distance like molten sapphire. I wore a cream linen dress and flat sandals. No makeup. No jewelry. Still, when he saw me, he paused like I'd stunned him. You look, he said, struggling for once to find the word. Real. We drank white wine under ivy-covered pergolas, the wind slipping through cypress trees like secrets. And then he looked at me with something more than curiosity. You know, he said, I've never been interested in women who come with warnings. Affairs. Family drama. The usual mess. Then why me? I asked. Because you come with war. And there is something about you I can't ignore. I stilled. He leaned forward, voice low. I've watched you for months, Elena. You didn't just survive betrayal. You sharpened it into a weapon. You know how rare that is. Most people break. You broke the ones who broke you. I swallowed hard. That's not revenge. That's just survival. No, he said. What you're doing is art. We were silent for a moment. Then he added, if you ever wanted this, I wouldn't ask you to hide. I'd want the world to know I chose a woman with fire in her blood. It was the first time someone saw all of me and didn't flinch. Liam was falling apart. He left me dozens of messages. His tone shifting from charming to pleading to borderline panicked. Elena, can we talk? I miss you. I don't know what's happening. Please call me. This doesn't feel right. And then one voicemail that was different. I know about Vincent. I saw the tabloid photos. You kissed him, didn't you? We hadn't. Not yet. But apparently the press had decided it for us. Someone had caught a shot of Vincent leaning close to me, hand on the small of my back at a charity event. The angle looked intimate. Deliberate. Beautiful. Madison no doubt had seen it too. And she did what snakes always do when cornered, she struck. Vincent's team received Madison's email again. This time more direct. Hi Vincent, I know we didn't connect before but I'm in Milan next week. I'd love to grab coffee. I admire what you and Elena have built. He showed it to me again. Should I block her? He asked. I shook my head. Invite her, I said. To the launch event. You sure? Let her see it up close. Vincent's Milan expansion event was a spectacle. Held in a historic villa converted into a fashion tech venue, it was attended by CEOs, celebrities and diplomats. Red carpets, drone lights, press everywhere. And I was the centerpiece. Vincent gave me the final speaking slot. Elena Hayes, he said in his introduction, has not only redefined strategy, she's redefined resilience. She's the reason this vision worked. I stepped on stage in a floor-length wine-red gown, hair swept back, heels clicking like a countdown. Madison was in the second row. I saw her jaw tighten. I gave my speech like I was born on that stage. Not a quiver. Not a missed breath. I ended with, you can't steal what doesn't belong to you. And you can't keep what was never meant for you. Thunderous applause. Madison looked like she'd been slapped. I didn't spare her a glance after that. The morning after the launch event, my phone buzzed with a familiar number. I knew who it was. I'd ignored his last 15 calls. But something told me to pick up this time. Elena. His voice cracked like he hadn't slept. And judging by his tone, maybe he hadn't. Yes, I said coolly. I need to see you. Please. Just talk. 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. Liam, I'm in Milan. I know, he said. I'm here too. That froze me. What? I flew in. I've been here since the event. I saw you last night. I didn't want to cause a scene. You brought Madison? No. Just me. Silence stretched between us. Elena, please, he added. I just need to ask you something. I exhaled slowly. Fine. 1 hour. He showed up at the rooftop bar Vincent and I often used for private strategy meetings, though this time, Vincent was conveniently absent. I wore a silk black blouse, gold earrings and confidence like perfume. Liam looked wrecked. Sleepless eyes. A 5 o'clock shadow. Shirt wrinkled from the flight or stress or both. You look different, he said as he sat down. I am. He tried to smile. I guess that makes 2 of us. Not really, I replied. You're exactly the same. He flinched but kept going. I just need to ask. Did you know? About Madison and me. Before you said yes again. Yes. The word hit him like a slap. He blinked. So the dinner? The reproposal? The vineyard trip? All fake, I said. For you. For me. To let you believe you hadn't lost me yet. To let you think you were fixing it. He stared at me hollow. You let me fall in love with you again just so you could break me. No, Liam, I said softly. You were never in love with me. You were in love with what I made you feel, stable, admired, forgiven. But you're not forgiving. No, I said. I'm not. Not anymore. He lowered his head. Why not just leave me? Walk away. I leaned in slightly. Because if I had left silently, you would have believed you did nothing wrong. And Madison would have worn that smug grin forever. But now. You both know exactly what you ruined. I stood. Enjoy Milan. But don't call again. You're not part of my story anymore. Later that evening, Vincent returned from a corporate roundtable. He found me reading by the window, barefoot, hair down, completely at ease. Bad meeting? I asked. Actually, he said, pulling a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Best meeting of my life. I raised a brow. That looks suspiciously like a ring box. It is. He crossed the room and placed it in my palm. Open it. Inside wasn't a diamond. It was a sterling elite keycard, reserved for Vincent's future partners, both business and personal. Only 3 existed in the entire corporation. 1 belonged to him. 1 to the president of international strategy. And now 1 to me. This is more than access, he said. This is legacy. I want you not just beside me. I want you building this with me. I swallowed hard. I'm not the girl who dreamed of being someone's wife. You won't be, he replied. You'll be the woman who built an empire beside the man smart enough to know you could do it without him. I didn't say yes that night. I didn't need to. My kiss told him everything. Back in the States, Madison made one final move. And it was glorious in its stupidity. Out of spite and jealousy, she leaked confidential branding concepts from Sterling's upcoming luxury integration, sent them to a rival agency she tried to freelance with, offering to consult, if they'd compensate her under the table. What she didn't know was that every document she'd accessed was traced because I made sure of it. Before leaving for Milan, I uploaded Sterling dummy concepts onto a private drive shared with my old accounts, including a cloud folder I'd accidentally synced to a private drive Madison once used on my old laptop. I baited her with gold and she bit. Vincent's security team flagged it immediately. The rival firm forwarded her email as proof of unethical approach to avoid being liable. She'd sent the Sterling files with her full name and digital signature. That was enough. Vincent called me into his office 2 days later, folder in hand. She just handed us everything, he said. Press charges. I asked. Not yet, he said. Let's do it my way. A week later, a polished article appeared in CEO World magazine, penned by Vincent himself. The Cost of Betrayal in Business. A case study. It never named Madison directly, but detailed how a former intern related to an executive used personal ties to steal and leak confidential files. The story went viral across corporate LinkedIn, Twitter, and industry blogs. Within hours, Madison was trending in all the wrong ways. She lost her job. Her freelance offers vanished. Her name was unofficially blacklisted. She messaged me frantically. You ruined me. Please. I didn't know you'd set me up. Don't press charges. I'm begging you. I replied, you ruined yourself. I just recorded it. Vincent never filed charges. Not because she didn't deserve it, but because her shame was louder than any court ruling. And Liam? He left her 3 weeks later. I returned to New York in a private jet wrapped in the Sterling insignia. Vincent flew beside me as calm and commanding as ever. But this time I didn't sit like a guest in his world, I sat like a partner. As we landed, his fingers brushed mine. Are you ready? For what? I asked. He gave me a knowing smile. For him to see it. Because Liam wasn't just going to hear about my transformation secondhand anymore. He was going to witness it on the same stage I used to shrink from. The moment came faster than expected. Sterling Industries was sponsoring a high-profile business summit in Manhattan, gathering entrepreneurs, CEOs, and innovators from across the world. It was broadcasted across national channels, streamed live on corporate networks, and splashed on business pages for days. And Vincent? He didn't just walk into that event with me. He introduced me as his fiancé. Yes. In front of flashing cameras, industry leaders, and a shocked audience, he held my hand, turned to me mid-speech and said, "This is Elena Hayes, the woman I trust with my legacy. And soon she'll also be my wife." Gasps. Applause. Whispers. Flashes went off like fireworks. Vincent kissed my hand, then kissed me gently but enough to be captured by every camera. I had just become the most watched woman in the room. And I knew somewhere he was watching too. Liam saw the moment from his cubicle. After losing his job at the boutique agency, Thanks to internal budget cuts and reputation concerns, he had taken a mid-level marketing position at a large tech firm. The kind of job that used to bore him used to be beneath him. No, it was all he had. He was sipping cheap office coffee when the news broke. His coworker leaned over and said, "Yo, isn't this your ex?" Liam glanced at the screen and dropped his mug. There I was, flawless, composed, powerful, standing beside the billionaire CEO everyone wanted access to, wearing a ring that outshone the sun. The caption read, "Sterling Industries CEO announces engagement to Elena Hayes, global strategist." He didn't move for a long time. Didn't speak. Didn't blink. He just gasped. Finally, Madison's story by now had turned into a cautionary tale. No job. No offers. No dignity. A viral thread titled "Corporate Nepotism Gone Wrong." The Hayes scandal painted her as the symbol of everything wrong with internal corruption. Her Instagram had been deactivated after thousands flooded her with snake emojis and hate comments. And when the engagement broke, he cracked. She sent me a message from a burner account. "You don't deserve him. You're just a broken woman playing dress up." I smiled at my screen. Because only someone truly destroyed would think this version of me was pretending. 2 weeks later I received an invitation that made me laugh out loud. The Northeast Innovation Gala, hosted by none other than Liam's current employer. He joined their team months ago, and as fate would have it, Vincent had just bought a controlling share in their largest software integration partner. Sterling Industries was now one of their biggest investors. And I was being invited to headline their main event. Not just attend, speak, on a panel titled, "Reclaiming Power, Women Who Transformed Betrayal into Billion-Dollar Moves." The irony wasn't lost on me. And I didn't hesitate. I said yes. I walked into the gala wearing a champagne-colored gown, long silk gloves, and heels that echoed like a slow drumbeat on marble floors. Vincent walked beside me, black tux crisp, his hand warm in mine. People turned. Whispers followed. And somewhere, tucked in a corner near the hors d'oeuvres, Liam stood frozen, drink in hand, pride shattered. I saw him before he saw me. He looked worn. Older. Aged by regret. And when his eyes finally landed on me, they widened slowly like someone seeing a ghost they thought they buried. He tried to smile. I didn't return it. I walked past him with the grace of a queen. And then I took the stage. I didn't name names. Didn't need to. But every word was a bullet. I used to believe that love and loyalty guaranteed safety. That if you gave people your best, they'd protect it. Cherish it. I was wrong. What betrayal teaches you, if you survive it, is that your power doesn't lie in being loved by others. It lies in loving yourself enough to rise when they expect you to stay shattered. I paused, locking eyes with no one in particular, but I knew he was watching. Pain doesn't destroy you. It unveils you. Applause rose like thunder. I stepped down, walked back to my seat, and let my crown settle invisibly on my head. After the speech he tried to catch me alone. I let him. In a quiet hallway outside the ballroom he approached. "Elena," he said. "Please. 5 minutes." I turned slowly. "I don't owe you 5 seconds. I wanted to say sorry. Too late. I didn't know what I had," he murmured. "Until I lost it." "You didn't lose it," I corrected. "You destroyed it." He looked like he might cry. "I still love you." "I don't," I replied coldly. "And I never will again." He reached out. I stepped back. "Don't touch what you threw away." Then I walked away, never looking back. The hallway lights outside the gala flickered softly above me, but my mind was loud. Liam's last attempt to win back what he destroyed had left a strange taste, not bitterness, not regret, just closure. That heavy kind that arrives not with fire but with finality. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt done. Exhausted, empowered, weightless. And as I stepped into the black SUV waiting outside, the back door opened and there he was. Vincent. No driver. No bodyguards. Just him. Waiting for me. He didn't speak when I slid into the seat. Just turned, took one look at my face and reached for my hand. The moment his fingers closed around mine, something inside me cracked. A pressure I hadn't even realized I'd been holding in all night. And he saw it. Not the polished Elena who conquered a ballroom. Not the fierce strategist who outplayed betrayal. But the woman who for years had given and given and given, until she had nothing left. Elena, he murmured, voice low and soft. Did he say something that hurt you? I shook my head slowly. No, not really. It was just heavy. Like I was finally closing a door I didn't know was still open. He nodded, still watching me. Then he said, "Let me take care of you." And when we got home, his penthouse glowing softly with ambient light, he didn't ask questions. He didn't press. He simply led me to the master bedroom, sat me on the bed and knelt before me. His hands slipped off my heels slowly, gently. Then he looked up and his voice broke the silence again. I love you, Elena. Not because of what you survived, but because of who you became despite it. Tears welled up, uninvited and honest. I reached for him and he came to me in full. His lips found mine slowly, like a prayer whispered under moonlight. Not rushed. Not possessive. But deep. Anchored. Honest. It started soft, his hand cupping my cheek, his thumb grazing my jaw. His lips moved with a patience that made the world fade, like he had all the time in the universe just to taste the truth of us. And then the kiss deepened. He pulled me closer, hands at my waist, drawing me into his lap as his mouth pressed against mine with more heat, more gravity. His kiss spoke of all the moments he held back. The restraint. The tension. The passion he'd buried until I was ready. I tangled my fingers in his hair, breathless, my body melting into his, as if I'd spent a lifetime walking through ashes only to be born again in this one endless kiss. When we finally parted, our foreheads rested together. "I'm yours," I whispered. And he smiled like the world had finally aligned. The following weeks were like watching a storm clear. No more whispers. No more headlines. No more ghosts. Just peace and promise. Vincent and I traveled to Italy for a quiet weekend at his villa. He cooked. I read. We made love under stars and slow music. For the first time my life felt like mine, not built from pain but from choice. On the last night he surprised me. We stood on the balcony, lake shimmering below us, when he turned and pulled out a velvet box. But not the usual kind. Inside was a sterling cuff bracelet, engraved on the inner rim with a single line, "You were never the fire. You were the storm." And beneath it a diamond ring. No cameras. No crowd. Just us. "I don't need a ceremony," he said. "Or a stage. I just want you to say yes." I stared at him, heart aching from fullness. "Yes," I said. "In every lifetime, yes." Back in New York, Vincent's team organized a private engagement celebration. Not a party, but an elegant dinner with hand-picked guests from both business and personal circles. People I admired. People who admired me. People who didn't know my story, but could feel the weight of the woman I'd become. I wore white. Not for tradition, but because I finally felt clean. Free. Powerful. When Vincent toasted me, his words were simple. She didn't rise from ashes. She turned them into gold. Weeks later I wrote a letter. Not to send but to release. To Liam and Madison, I don't hate you. I don't need to. Because I won. Not in the way you think, with a richer man or a better life. But because you no longer live in my mind. You don't own space in my heart. I don't carry your betrayals anymore. I carry lessons. And legacy. I loved you both once. And maybe a part of me always will. But that love. It's buried now. Beneath the life you tried to ruin. And I hope truly that one day you understand. You didn't break me. You built me. Sincerely, the woman you underestimated months past. Liam tried to date again. But no woman stayed. Because once you've tasted power, mediocrity leaves a bitter aftertaste. Madison tried to rebrand, relaunch, reemerge. But nothing stuck. She became a footnote in corporate cautionary tales. Me. I became Elena Sterling. Not because I needed a man's name, but because I had built the empire with him, brick by brilliant brick. One evening as I walked past the same bookstore where Liam and I once planned our future, I paused. In the window was a magazine. Forbes Women in Power. My face on the cover. Underneath it, the title read, "She Turned Betrayal into a $1 billion Legacy." And I smiled. Because somewhere I knew he was gasping again. But this time, he wouldn't recover. Think.